Alright, guys, so welcome to the Alien Romulus. This will be the spoiler kind of review, or maybe spoiler discussion would be a better term for it. I just I just tried recording one, and I literally was just going through literally every scene of the film from what I remembered. 'Cause I saw it, on Thursday, and it's Saturday now, so from what I can remember. I was just going through it scene by scene, and I was like, this is literally just if I was live streaming and talking about this is what you would want. It's not a discussion or review. Um, so I thought I'd restart that. But yeah. Anyway, if you have seen the movie or you don't care, welcome. So, a couple of things I wanted to touch on that I couldn't. The two things that I disliked in the movie, and one of them isn't a dislike, one of them is something they can touch up for home video, was a character's face. So the character's name is Rook, and he is the android that they find cut in half. They need his chip for Andy, and then Andy tells them, okay, he can give us more information, so they activate him because they find out he's actually still working. And name is Rook, but he is the same model as Ash from the first Alien. They have Ian Holmes' face. It's very clearly CGI. And they do a very good job with his voice. But from his mouth down is so bad. Like, you can just tell it's really bad. And his face looks weirdly proportioned. Like, I don't know, from half of his face, the bottom half looks very skinny for some reason. I don't know. It was very weird. And his teeth, for some reason, looked very sharp when you could see them. It was odd. So that part, I very much hope they can touch up during their home video. And that's the part I was mentioning that I think was maybe added kind of last minute to have more of a connection to the first film. Now, they did not need to have him in it. I think it would have worked perfectly fine if it was just a regular android. I think they did it just because of, people use the term member berries. South Park did a hilarious episode on it. But I do feel like that was a big part of, we need to add something else to get people, excited when they're watching the movie. And that was one where it's like, I don't mind that it was his face, but because it was so badly CGI'd in there, it kind of takes you out of it for a minute. And then every time it shows him talking, it's like, you're focusing on that, So hopefully they can touch that up. And then I've seen other people make a good point of a reason why it was probably added last minute is before, when they show just the back of him and before they lift him up, it doesn't really look like him until they show the front, and then you're like, oh. So I have a feeling it probably was a different android. I would have liked it if it was just a different face and his voice. That would have been fine for me. Because we've seen how there are many similarities that they make the androids in. You have David and Walter from Prometheus and Covenant. They have the same, structure, different voice. Now, it's Michael Fassbender in both roles, so, that he can't do so much but to change his voice, but still. And then you have Bishop from Aliens, and then the real life Bishop, or Wayland, if you will, in Alien 3 show up. So, they could have done something with that to not have it be his face. But other than that, The only other thing that I majorly disliked was just a line of dialogue. And it doesn't even have anything to do with lore or anything like that. So, Andy, the android, is shown throughout as being kind of almost the mind of a child. He's a damaged android, Rain, our main character, has to kind of reset him from time to time when he starts to really malfunction. And so after he gets these upgrades from Rook, then his motor functions get a lot better. He's like a new android almost. And at one point, our main character is in trouble. The xenomorph, is right there. I'm gonna get her. And Andy comes up, and he's never done anything to harm a person, to harm even a creature. And he grabs the gun that's kind of floating, or not, this one isn't floating, but he grabs the gun that's near him, goes down, shoots Xenomorph, and he does the line, get away from her. And he kind of stutters because he does that in the movie because, again, he malfunctions. You bitch, kind of like that. And that, for me, was so cringeworthy, and was just like, why did you say that? It wasn't really deserving like it was in Aliens in this. And my theater loved it. It was a packed theater. They clapped, and it was woo. But I was sitting there like, oh God, why did you do that? But those are the only two things that I really disliked. And again, both things, the line specifically, they really didn't need to do that. But the line I feel like they can't really take out. But they can fix up the look of Rook, I feel like, before home video. Will they? Who knows? Now, in terms of things that I loved in this movie that I think it kind of really needed, I want to say Resurrection has really been the only other movie that has even come close to doing this type of thing. Now, Covenant does take this on as well, but in a different way. So we're going to focus on what Resurrection did and what this does, kind of similar, but I think in a better way. And this is a lab. It's basically a floating lab. They find the xenomorph, and it's kind of, how should I say it? It's almost like it's fossilized, but still living. It's the very first shot of the movie, first scene, I should say. They find it, they cut it open, and it turns out to be the alien from the xenomorph from the very first Alien. And it is somehow still alive. Now, I had heard rumors that the main alien in the movie was going to be that alien, and I had big problems with that. But it's not. The alien that they find, kind of fossilized, or either that or it has made something surrounding itself so it can survive long periods in space and maybe heal. They find that, and they start doing all these experiments, and you see that they inject this rat with something, and it heals it starts to heal itself and everything, and you're like, okay, this is really cool. But before they could get too far into any of the experiments, that xenomorph gets out and starts killing everything, and they finally kill it and everything, and you see kind of how you don't really see how they do it, but you see the alien, the xenomorph from the first Alien dead. But anyway, the experiments and stuff that Wayland wants to do with the DNA of the xenomorph and everything like that. It's not explored in the first one. It's not really explored in the second one. You see the test tubes and stuff with the facehuggers in the second one, but that's about it. Of course, in the third one, they're on a prison planet, so you don't get any of that. And then in Resurrection, you get a little bit of that with experiments, but those are more experiments with Ripley and bringing her back. And so what I mean with it doing it better in this one, it doesn't go crazy bonkers with that in terms of bringing somebody that's been dead for, what was it, like 100 and some years, and bringing them back to life through, this cloning process. Instead, they do this thing of bringing something from Prometheus back, sort of the black goo, because they're experimenting with the alien DNA and all that. And of course, the xenomorph is going to have the all of that DNA, all that stuff from the black goo, because if Prometheus, that's what they come from, basically. It creates life. And so you find out that Wayland is trying to make this product that will make humans the perfect organism. Because you've seen in all the movies that this xenomorph is called the perfect organism. And you're like, yeah, but it can die and, all this stuff. It's not really perfect. Well, Wayland's trying to make that happen with humans because it has such a invulnerability to so many things. It can survive in the vacuum of space. It can adapt to any planet, seemingly, that it gets onto. It has such a invulnerability to so many things. And you find out that people are not meant to colonize space. The terraforming and all that, it's awful for people. It breaks them down and they can't handle it. And so that's what they're trying to do here. And so they have these syringes, basically, of all this. It's not the black goo, but it's a variation of this black goo that supposedly, you see from the rat, can make you better, make you possibly the perfect organism. And so once Andy gets that chip from Rook, he all of a sudden has this new directive of getting this stuff back to the company. And so, that's kind of his goal for the rest of, I want to say, 2/3 of the film. The rest, once he gets that chip, the rest of the 2/3 of this film, that's his goal. But anyway, once everything happens, once it's our few main characters are left. There's only Andy, our main protagonist, and then one other person. Once it's down to just those three, they have the cryopods, they have the fuel, they have even they have the means to get to where they want to go. And so the main lady, not the main lady, sorry. I can't remember her name. That lady that was just on the screen. It's revealed that she is pregnant. Of course, easy. They put that in a lot of horror movies. But anyway, and so they get her back to the ship after she was taken by an alien. And, she was stabbed. I can't remember. I think it was through the side. And she's losing a lot of blood, which reveals that she's going to die soon. And so that's why she didn't get a face hugger. That's why she wasn't implanted with a chest burster. And so they get her back onto the ship with the syringes of the goo, basically. And you're like, ooh, she's going to make the decision. She's going to use it. Something crazy is going to happen towards the end. It's got to. But anyway, that's when our main character goes back for Andy because he is now kind of he's malfunctioning again. She has to go back and help him, and she chooses to do that instead of just taking off with the other lady. And that's when she's able to get the chip out of him that was in Rook. And so his main goal, his main directive now goes back to, getting her off of this, saving her. And so that happens. And while they're doing that, while they're making their way back to their ship, you see that the lady does, in fact, inject herself with the thing. You're like, oh no, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And so this is the thing that people are saying at the end. There's this thing that you're either going to love or you're going to hate. And I did not mind it at all. There was one aspect of it that I wish they wouldn't have done or would have changed. But in the overall scheme of things, I actually really enjoyed it. So she does this. She gets... One other thing I have a gripe with, I guess. Every transformation happens so quickly. So we're revealed when we get there, there's 36 hours. So something happens where you only have, I think it's 30 minutes all of a sudden to get off. I can't remember. Oh yeah, the course of the space station has been altered. And so now they only have 30 minutes before it has an impact with the rings. And in terms of the chest burster, in terms of how fast the chest burster goes to fully grown xenomorph, and then at the end, how fast this ending, which I'm about to talk about, happens. All the things happen so quickly that it kind of started to take me out of it a little bit. I was like, wow, that chest burster happened in less than an hour. And then it was fully grown which in the first one it's fully grown pretty quickly, but not this quickly. It was very strange how quickly everything went. And you could have easily done something where that 36 hours didn't change to 30 minutes and it was, 8 hours for the chest burster or something like that, and then another 10 hours for fully grown or something. Everything was just so quick. But anyway, so it's revealed that she looks 9 months pregnant and she's starting to give birth. And you're like, ooh, so this is what happened. And she gives birth to this cocoon-looking thing. It's like a pod. And it already has, like, the acidic goo all over it. So our lovely character is kind of carrying it away because she yells, "Get it away from me." Oh, of course, why wouldn't you, And she drops it, and, it has the acidic goo because she's carrying it in, like, a blanket so it doesn't burn. And she drops it, and it just starts to sink down into the bottom of the ship, and there's like sand and stuff at the bottom of the ship, and so luckily it doesn't burn all the way through. And you see a glimpse of this little pod thing, a little cocoon thing opened, and it's like this little baby head. It looks kind of like it looks like a human baby head, and you're like, what the hell? That was weird. What was that? And so you get down there, and it's escaped. And again, this is where how fast these things are growing is kind of insane. It goes from this little pod that's probably the size of a little bit bigger than your head, to this like 8-9 foot tall lanky thing. And the design is cool, except for the head is the head of an engineer from Prometheus, except smaller. It was so weird looking. And I was like, this is cool, this is interesting. But I just wish the head would have been something a little different. It's just a little, it was a little off, you know. But other than that, I did really enjoy it. And it showed like the mom of this creature was now producing food for for it, kind of like, you know, lactation, or lactating. And so it ends up basically killing her by feeding off of her. Um, and so our main character, you know, gets it off the ship, gets rid of and it's a really cool scene of how they do this, and like I said, the visuals are amazing. Um, and so yeah, gets it off the ship starts crashing, or the station starts crashing into the the rings of this planet, and so everything is destroyed. That creature's destroyed, the station is destroyed. Um, Andy, who was very badly damaged, you know, she puts him in a cryo tube, and she says, we're gonna get you fixed up." Now, the place they're going it's revealed, I want to say, a third of the way through, that Andy can't come. They don't allow androids there. But she basically says, "Screw it, I don't care. We'll find a way." And so her and Andy, I'm guessing, are going to this place. Now, there can easily be a follow-up to this if they want to, because the syringes are on their ship. Now, they do not have to follow this up. Should they? I personally wouldn't mind if they did in some way, because I absolutely love the character of Andy, the android. I thought the main character did a fine job. She was great. And I love the experiments part of the movie. They do it very well in one book, Infiltration, or Infiltrator, can't remember. But other than that, they really don't handle like the lab testing and stuff like that in almost anything. And that's one of the things I'm most interested in, to be honest, them testing all this stuff out. But yeah, I cannot recommend this movie enough. I will go see it again as long as it's playing next week. I'm going to see it again and probably enjoy it more, to be honest, because I'll usually get more out of it. But yeah, the theater I was at, packed house, and I was on the very first day on Thursday that it was opening, and it's pretty packed the rest of the days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I really hope this makes a lot of money to show that this franchise is not dead, that you get a competent director with a competent screenplay. You know, and this was, I've also heard that they played it safe, but it was a good thing that they did. And I would agree. You play it a little bit safe. Now, bar the last 10 minutes was very out there for some people, but you play it a little bit safe at first. It gets butts in the seats, it gets money made, and then you're allowed to have some creative freedom to go, okay, I want to do this now, and all that. So I think it was a good thing that it played it a little bit safe, that it called back to those first two movies a few times. I hope it does well. And yeah. So if you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it. And sorry if this review was not very good. First time doing one of these. And I don't have a script or nothing. Just doing it right off the right off the cuff. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. Have a great day. And I'll see you. Bye.